Good evening. Good evening. This is Munir Bahar, Conversations with a Contractor. I am a Baltimore-based residential commercial contractor. I've been building for some time, and I'm at the point in my career and evolution in life that I feel I have a stronger contribution to make with regards to construction and how we approach construction. And this is the platform. This show here, Conversations with the Contractor, is something we created to really offer a contractor's insight, guidance, industry secrets or what so have you about construction, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential, and really offering it in a very honest, unbiased way, right? To the audience, I'm not trying to win a contract. I'm not trying to come over your house to bid anything. So everything that I have to say is really to help you understand how to navigate through a construction process, again, regardless of the size of it. Now, tonight specifically, I wanted to talk about home renovation projects and really the evolution of construction, home renovation, home remodeling, home building. And where we are today, it's a lot different than where we were 30, 40, 50 years ago. But yet, we're still handling business as if this were 30, 40, or 50 years ago. I mean, the construction industry has changed. It is changing so rapidly. It's changing as we speak here now. And not a lot of people are really up to speed with how they need to navigate. And so what happens, and look, correct me if I'm wrong, many people are winding up going through very negative experiences when it comes to home renovation or doing a major renovation project to your home, or it could be, an investment property. I cannot tell you how many people that I have come across in my experience that have had horrible stories. Now, meanwhile, people have seen my work over the years. I didn't start out as a contractor to be a contractor for other people. I became a contractor because I wanted to build my own houses. I've done so twice. I built a house from scratch to live in, one in 2019, and then the most current project, which a lot of people know now currently, is the farmhouse that I bought, a 100-year-old farmhouse sitting on 3.5 acres in Randallstown. And this project took me about 15 months to fully go through. And as I was going through the process, I used my social media to really highlight what some of those steps are and, kind of show people what it's like to go through this type of project. I know I have been very motivated by several different YouTube personalities, or let me say individuals on YouTube that have shared their journey, so I just thought it was only right that I also share mine. So I tried to do a good job. Even on this page, you'll see, some of my earlier videos. I have walkthrough videos of this property when I started renovating some time ago. So again, I thought it was befitting of me to try to do the same, right? I try to be an inspiration for other people who are going through this construction process as well. Now, home renovation is not a fun thing to do when we talk about a major home renovation project. And, I have seen horror stories happen. I've seen people's relationship break up. I've seen people's financial situations, collapse. I've seen a lot of bad stories. Does that mean everybody's story is going to be bad? No. And if you do have a story about a home renovation project, that went crazy, let's have a conversation about it. Again, this show is a live show. We're doing this show live. We created this format so that people in the audience, you who are listening to this, You may have some experiences. You may have some input that you want to chime in on. You may have something to challenge me on. Really doesn't matter. The fact that we have a platform to have conversations, I think will drive us towards creating better solutions and figuring out how to do this better. Again, we're still doing things like we were 30, 40 years ago. And I say that because, I know folks that are in the business that have been doing it for 30, 40 years, and, they can tell you that they've been doing things this way for a long time. Well, it's 2025. We're in the age of AI. We're in the age of internet, social media. We're in the age of Facebook Marketplace. Do you know how much stuff you can find on Facebook Marketplace? So we're in a space that really demands a much more creative approach, a much more insightful approach to construction. Now, here's what I tell people now, and the theme of tonight's show, you got to think like a GC, right? You have to think like a GC. And again, I'm sorry, I know I kind of stepped over it. People, you can chime into the show on my Facebook page. I have a link. And if you want to join in, call in to discuss something related to what I'm discussing, feel free. I welcome it. Let's have a conversation. So back to my point, thinking like a GC is something that I'm saying more and more as I'm speaking to people, even potential clients, because a general contractor strength isn't their license. It isn't their knowledge of how to frame a floor or how to install an electrical panel. The strength of a general contractor is their ability to manage a project. It's project management, right? Simple as that, project management. And for those who are familiar with project management principles, they pretty much apply to anything, right? Any type of endeavor. And when you're going into a construction project, a major renovation project, it's important that you think like a GC. And what that means is you are thinking like a project manager. You're going to have certain tasks that have to be done. Well, first of all, you're going to establish the objectives. And then what are the tasks that will support those objectives? And then what's the time frame to complete those tasks? What's the overall time frame for the objectives? What are the inputs that are needed? What do we need for this task, for that task? Who's responsible for this task, for that task? How much is this task going to cost? How much is the estimated labor? How much is the estimated material? This is basic project management, right? Who's responsible for seeing the task through completion? This basic framework is really how you guide a small or a very large construction project. It's that simple, project management. So when I'm talking to people that want to go through a construction project, I'm saying you got to think like a GC. Now, something real small, you're going to get your house painted. Small, right? Small amount of oversight management. But when you're talking about projects that will encompass several different trades, some plumbing, some electric. Let's talk about a basement remodel, right? Or you want to build an addition, or you want to build an ADU on your property, right? You want to do something that's going to involve multiple different trades, which means multiple different contractors, multiple different scenarios of what could go wrong. That has to be managed like a GC, and you as the homeowner can do it. Again, project management principles are not, sectioned off for just a certain portion of society. Any and everybody can understand and use and follow project management principles to go through a construction project. Now, here's where a lot of people make the mistake, and I guarantee you, because I've heard many people who have had these experiences, right? So fight me if you disagree, but a lot of people have had problems with contractors. One of the big misconceptions is that someone with a license, right? I have a license. I have a Maryland State residential builder's license. I have a general contractor's license. Those licenses are given to you without any regards to your ability to manage a project. Now, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but this is the fact. This is the industry. This is the construction industry, that anyone can go and get a license. Specifically, let's say Maryland's license, the MHIC license. You can get a license and not know anything about project management. All you have to do is pay for the books, you study, and you take a test. I mean, the license doesn't even require you to be knowledgeable at that point of when you're taking the license, taking the test. It's not testing you on those fundamental skills that you should have if you're going to call yourself a contractor, if you're going to take people's money, and if you're going to promise people a certain build or a certain project to be completed. Time management. A license doesn't have anything to do with a person's ability to manage time, or manage money, or manage people, or manage communication at all. So one of the big, things that happen that, again, a lot of people find out the hard way, they run out here and say, oh, I need to get someone licensed to do X, Y, Z for a project. Yeah, but you want to get somebody that knows how to manage a project and execute and successfully complete a project. And the licensing standard, at least in Maryland, doesn't measure for that at all, right? So that leaves a lot of people stuck on a road of finding out later down the line, after contracts have been signed, money has been exchanged. People find out that that person that they hired does not have those essential skills. Yes, they may have a license. Yes, they may have some tools in the truck and 2 guys outside, but do they have the skills to successfully execute a project? Don't assume. Again, I'm not supposed to say this, but this is the truth, right? You're having a conversation with the contractor, and I'm being very honest and being very candid. So that puts people in a situation where the mercy of the project is at the hands of, the success of the project is at the mercy of someone that may not even be validated in the areas that they need to be validated to ensure that that was the right pick, right? And another mistake people make is picking off of price. We have all heard it, and we'll go with the cheaper guy. And again, anybody's welcome to chime into the show. Let me know how that works out, going with the cheaper guy. Normally the cheaper guy makes the project more expensive, because then you got to hire somebody to come back and fix what the cheaper guy did, and they're going to charge you as well, right? So these are common mistakes that many people make when they're going into a home renovation project, and it costs them dearly. That's why we have a lot of people that have horrible, horrible experiences in construction, especially women, especially seniors. People are just getting ripped off, right? And contractors know that, once they get a foot in and get a contract signed and, and get the money, like it's easy to do that thing. It's easy to get a contract. It's easy to sell somebody and get them to give you a deposit. And too many times we hear people who have given contractors deposits and then never heard from the contractor again. So anyway, solution. You have to think like a GC. So I have several things that I am encouraging people to understand about construction if they're going to go into a major renovation project. Now, good thing, and my producer is a let me say, an IT guy, a web guy, right? The internet and everything. Look, we have such a beautiful tool at our disposal called the internet, in which you can research something right now that you know nothing about, and you can find a whole plethora of information about that subject in 5 minutes. Not even that long, right? But it may take you 5 minutes to read a bunch of sources. I know people read quick these days, but my point is, you can use this resource to your benefit to learn about the things that may be involved in your construction project. So I have a list of some of these research elements. Again, just want to remind everybody that if they want to participate in conversations with a contractor, then you are welcome to. We post a link in our feed, and that link you can call in, you can communicate, you can tell me you disagree, you can tell me about your experience, whatever. I just want to increase the conversations that we are having about construction, because it's such a private, sensitive issue for so many people, because money is involved, because your home is involved. But I think if we really share more our experiences, both the good and the bad, then we can help the world, right? We can help each other navigate through this better. We can hold a higher standard, right? We can raise the bar for contractors, but it's something that we're going to have to do as a community, a society. And so that's why we're having this platform. So you're welcome to comment, you're welcome to participate in and give your thoughts and feedback at any point. Now, these research elements that I think everybody needs to understand or do some research on if you're going to do a major renovation project, okay? So one, HVAC systems. If you know nothing about the HVAC system in your house and you are about to do a major renovation project for your house, you are, again, setting yourself up to be at the mercy of a contractor, whether it's an HVAC contractor or it's, a general contractor. Your HVAC system heats, cools your entire house, and it's a ventilation system, right? So if you're going to add space, if you're going to change the space of the house, then you need to know how that affects your HVAC system. So you need to do some research on your HVAC system. Coupled with that is your windows. How many of us know about the windows that are actually installed in our house? How does that affect our air quality? How does that affect your thermal barrier, right? How does that affect your heating or your cooling loads, right, or requirements? So your windows, that's something that you need to look at and just do a little bit of research on. I'm not saying you have to become an expert in any of these fields. I'm just saying that these are some things you may want to do some research on before you do a major renovation project, so that you can actually be a part of the decision-making process of what needs to take place to bring to life this renovation idea of yours. Another thing, water management. How is water going to be managed? Maybe the project you're doing, let's say if you're building the ADU, that's a whole nother structure. So of course you have to look at how is that water now that's hitting the roof of the ADU, how is that going to be managed? Or if you're building an addition to your house, the way water flows on your house or away from your house is going to change if you're going to build an addition. Excuse me. So you need to know something about that. Sorry, excuse me. Producers are not allowed to laugh producers can't laugh, okay? When the host get dry voice. That means I'm on fire. That means I'm on fire. Talk about water management issues. That was a good segue right there, right? You need to focus on the water management of your throat. All right, so your insulation. Again, if you're adding an addition to your house, if you're building an ADU, or maybe you're turning your basement into livable space, what about the insulation? What do you know about the insulation? How is your house insulated now? What are the insulation values? What are the required R values for that new structure that you're building? Go research. Go find out. Like, the information is there. I mean, look, you have the IRC here. I know not everybody is going to read it, but the information is there. If you don't want to buy this code book, then this is on the internet. Get it off the internet. My point is, the information is there for people to accept the responsibility of knowing something about what they want to do instead of just relying on some contractor, whether they are reputable or not. Your home is your home, and it needs to fit your needs, right? Your desires. And, every home is different. So a contractor just can't walk into a home and say they know everything that should be, right? It requires input and a decision-making process on part of the homeowner in order to really execute a good plan. So that means you got to know something, okay? So these are small things. Your foundation, again, if you're going to add to the property, what type of foundation do you need to build? Do you need to build a foundation for an ADU? Do you need to build a foundation for an addition if you're just adding, a bedroom or two? What about your plumbing? How does that change your plumbing? Do you know anything about electrical systems of your house? Do you know how much power is required to now convert your basement into a kitchen? These are things that you can find out. And again, I say think like a GC, because I'm encouraging people to dig a little deeper into the responsibility of ensuring that their construction project is going to be successful. If you are leaving it up to the contractor, I'm sorry, but in this evolved market, this rapidly changing construction industry, you're going to find there are a lot of contractors, or let me say, there are a lot of people out here who call themselves contractors that are really just in the business of making some mess and taking people's money. They're not highly intelligent and highly skilled professionals. There's just not a lot of them. If there was, then the majority of people who go through a home renovation project wouldn't have bad experiences, right? We're not talking about 1 out of 10. I'd say probably 7, 8 out of 10 people that I've had conversations and dealings with in the past have had a horrible construction project failure, right? In a lot of cases, they were ripped off, or the project was completed and the project was just done in the most neglectful way. This is what's happening. So I'm saying, study these things about your house. Again, this is Munir Bahar. This show, Conversations with the Contractor, is about a platform, or having a platform for people to have conversations about what's happening or what's not happening in construction. And those conversations will lead to proactive solutions. It will lead to a mindset shift. It will lead to a more aggressive approach to dealing with construction, whether it's commercial or renovation. And I'll tell you this, the clients that I have worked with that have adopted this mindset that I have of thinking like a GC, those clients, they've embodied, like, to watch them really embody the role of a GC, even though they have me as their support, or even as a GC, to watch them really dig into the decision-making process, the research. That's the type of clients that I like, right? Those are the type of clients that I know are going to be successful with or without me. So what do you think? Again, you may agree, you may disagree. Some people have had better experiences than others. But in my experience, I've met and I've come across a lot of people who have had bad experiences. So I don't think me telling the world, think like a GC, is really too radical, especially in the age of intellectualism, where, we should be promoting each other to think more, to use our brains more. This is, not a revolutionary concept. And it's something that I know we all can dig into because all of us like to do this. How much time are we spending scrolling on our phones? How much time are we spending looking at aimless information online? Information that does not feed you whatsoever, at least feed you intellectually. So I'm saying, Munir Bahar, Core Construction, Conversation with a Contractor, think like a general contractor. If you're going to undergo a major home renovation project, you need to think like a general contractor. Put yourself in the shoes of a project manager and execute that way. Even if you hire a contractor, don't relinquish the responsibility of doing research and making decisions about your project. Yes, you can take in the input of your contractors, of your builders, of your design team, even the architect if you have one, but do not be afraid of embracing the responsibility of doing the research and making the decisions that suit the project that you want to do. As long as it's within code, okay? I mean, putting a jacuzzi tub on top of the roof probably won't fly. But we're talking about doing things that are reasonable, are within, design codes, building codes. I mean, if you do things up to that level, everything else is really, it's available to you and your creative desire. But you got to know how to manage. That's the main point of what I'm saying. You have to know how to manage a construction project, okay? Whether it's your home, whether it's an investment property, you have to know how to manage. That is the strength of a general contractor, the ability to manage a construction project. That's what you have to do. Good luck going to Home Depot and finding a good contractor that can do all this for you, and you can just kick your feet up and say, send me an invoice. That's just not the reality in 99% of the cases in the construction world right now. Good contractors are very rare. Contractors who know how to design, who know how to build, and who know how to manage, know how to communicate. They know accounting. It's just very rare. So think like a general contractor. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm gonna put some videos up for you.
Huh?
I'm gonna put some videos up for you to respond to.
Okay.
So it's on the fly.
Yep. Let's see what my producer's throwing at me here.
So just tell me when to pause.
Yep. Not exactly sure what's going on here.
She's renovating the wrong back.
Okay, look. Anyone can do anything. But along with, you know what? That brings up a good point too, right? If you know what the process is, you can identify when somebody's doing something wrong. You know how many times that has saved me money and time? I hired somebody, do a particular project. I watched them. I seen that they were doing it wrong, and I was able to intervene immediately. Some guys said, hey, you got to go, right? Especially the ones that, oh, yeah, I got it. I'm good. You have that a lot. So the more you know about the process and how the process should be executed, it allows you to have a more keener eye in assessing talent or lack thereof. So, I mean, I could look at people's tools and make a good assumption about who they are. I mean, the way they show up, like when I meet a contractor for the first time, literally, let me look at how they keep their tools in their vehicle. That tells you a lot right there. Good contractors are neat and organized. Someone shows up and their tools are everywhere. Listen, oh, you know what? Don't show up with no Ryobi tools. And you've been doing this, no shade on Ryobi, but if you show up with some Ryobi tools and you talk about you've been doing this for 10, 15 years, no. No. Look, I started out with rigid tools, quickly escalated to DeWalt. Never left DeWalt since, right? But I found out quick, that 18 volt rigid impact driver it just can't hang with that 20 volt DeWalt impact driver, right? It's just the little things you pick up, you understand, you change, you accelerate, you grow, you improve, you enhance. That's what good contractors do. So, there's a lot you can look at when you look at videos, and when you look at stuff that's going on out here. When you have a keen eye, you can spot the bullshit, right? And that's just a part of having the experience in the industry. The tools people are using. Demolition can tell you a lot too. How someone demos something can tell you a lot about their experience or lack thereof. I tell people all the time, demolition is a science and an art in itself, right? So these are just little things. My main point, what I'm driving in all of this, is that people need to take the responsibility to be educated. People need to embrace the idea that they are just as much responsible for the success of their project as the people that they hire. That's leadership. That's ownership. How to do it? You can do more research. There's a ton of research. There's not one body of research in construction that I have access to that anyone else doesn't have access to. We all have access to the same information. It's called the internet. Sometimes you got to pay for it. Sometimes it could be an ebook, a physical book. Sometimes it's free. Sometimes it's an article, but sometimes it's a video. The information is there. There are 50 different social media platforms, people doing videos, showing you this, showing you that. I've learned a lot from that because I wanted my project to be well. My house that I built, I wanted it right. The things that I did at my house, even though I have the experience, I had 15 years experience, I still studied every element of every phase of the construction process for the house that I built, from the foundation to the insulation to the flooring, right? The plumbing system, the electrical system, the HVAC system. I mean, every detail of my house I was involved in, not only working on physically, but also studying. Right? That's another thing. A good contractor is always studying. A good general contractor, a good builder is always studying because we're always seeking to improve, and none of us know everything. So my particular house, the 100-year-old farmhouse that I completely gutted, rebuilt, added about 1,400 square feet to it, I meticulously went through, designed, detailed the house, but also studied every element to ensure that it was a cohesive result, right? So that everything complemented. The insulation system complemented the HVAC system. The plumbing system complemented the structure, the physical structure. The electrical system complemented the physical structure of the house. Everything had a house is a complex set of systems, and these systems all have to complement each other. And so that takes a lot of studying. I mean, any project I'm on, I am studying, regardless of how many times I did it before, because the industry is always evolving, right? Science is always being updated. So again, you don't have to become a contractor, but you should think like a contractor. This is my recommendation to anyone that's doing any type of major home renovation project, or if you're building a new home, or if you're building an accessory dwelling unit, what we call ADUs, on your property. Think like a contractor, embrace your responsibilities, dive into the research, make the decisions, and assume ownership, assume responsibility for the success of your project. Every Thursday, I'm going to have this platform, Conversations with the Contractor. The purpose is to provide a place where we can exchange, a healthy exchange with a contractor, with other contractors as well that I'll have on the show, so we can really raise the bar in this industry. I am Munir Bahar. This is Conversations with the Contractor.